Okay, so I'm here with Cote. He's involved with blockchain presence, and I just wanted to ask you to introduce yourself and ask you what motivated you to be part of this team.
Sure, yeah. So I joined the team last year, and I'm currently the Chief Marketing Officer for blockchain presence. And, a few years ago, I started becoming interested in the crypto space and blockchain in general. And of course, like any young person trying to look to get rich quick off of Bitcoin and stuff. Yeah. And, but as I started to look more and more into the potential of the technology itself, and especially when Ethereum was released, and you look at all the potential for dApps and for DeFi technology, it just seemed so fascinating to me, and I wanted to learn everything I could about it. So when I saw this opportunity pop up last summer, I immediately reached out to Christian Everhart and the blockchain presence team and found out that they're developing this new Oracle platform with a really, really interesting way to authenticate, senders of data. And, it was pretty raw at the time. They were still in the project phase, and it was a student project, right? But they were talking about bringing it, out to market, and spinning off of the University of Zurich. So for me, I was just like, this is a great opportunity to bring this product out, and it's such an interesting platform too, because you're marketing, communicating to both senders and receivers of data. As a platform, you have to branch out and to reach both parties, and it's a great product to work with.
From my perspective and from what I understand, given the hype in blockchain environment, what I noticed was that this project is really trying to build value in the long run. And this is something I really like about it. So moving on to the next question, from a purely marketing perspective, what do you think blockchain presence does well, given that it's trying to create this long-term value?
I think that what it does best is, while it's a centralized Oracle, which isn't ideal, I guess, in the short term, like on paper. But what they do so well is the sender authentication and white ether, and being able to know your customer. A lot of the oracles that are currently out there, it's more about the consensus of the data itself and trying to validate that, and even that runs into quite a few problems depending on the consensus algorithm. Of course, but for us, the most important thing is we do want to know our senders. We want to develop relationships with them all. And
that's different.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of it's about quantity for other oracles, and for us, it's about the quality of those senders themselves. So being able to authenticate them on chain also ensures that receivers of that data know that they're coming from, companies and people that we believe in, and that we support, and we put our name behind that. And I think that's really important.
Okay, and this is something that's very central to you and your marketing message, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. And just developing those relationships, because like I said, as a platform, right, we're trying to reach out to both senders and receivers, and we're not trying to send them some sort of sham. We're just trying to show them that this product could fit them. And obviously there's incentives for senders, because for them, it's free in order to participate, right, in this model. But at the same time, there's a lot of value for them, because it's a completely new outlet for them to be able to participate in. And it's such a new space. And for receivers as well, I think one of the issues we have is when we're talking to receivers, right, some of them don't even know about the capabilities of the blockchain space.
So they need to be educated on that.
Exactly, yeah. So part of it is, there's one group that we're really focused on letting know what they can do with this by, presenting them with use cases and new documentation and videos, just to let them know what type of potential's out there, and working side by side with them in order to help them develop smart contracts through this. Yeah. And then also on the other side, you have very technical people who want to know all the ins and outs of the security and how transactions are done. And for them, we have to take a totally different approach, a much more technical approach.
You must have your hands full.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. So if I had to channel a question from that, how challenging is it to market for a blockchain company? And in your opinion, how is that different from, let's say, like a normal marketing job? I know this is a challenging question for you too, because you're learning as you're doing it too, most of it. So yeah, I just wanted to hear your opinions on that.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is there's parts of it that are easy and there's parts of it that are difficult. I think the easy part is that the fact that we are like a platform itself. Mm-hmm. It's easy, I think, to attract customers and feel confident in doing that because you're bringing them value. At the same time, it's a difficult space because on the horizon, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with regulation. It's still a very volatile. The currencies themselves are still very volatile, and the tokens, as you can see. I mean, even just the other day, they talked about capital gains tax increases right in the U.S. and it sends it spiraling.
It seems like the government's just trying to catch up with it. It's like in pursuit of what's going on and on the technology front, and just trying to understand it and catch up with what's going on.
Yeah, and I mean, we just went through like recent tech revolutions with AI and with cloud computing and all this different stuff. And I think that it's really difficult for regulators to understand it. And now when you're dealing with a completely different thing that can change the way the banking systems run, I think a lot of banks and stuff are on the forefront and they understand what's going on and they're making adjustments and investing
it left and right.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, that's what you want to see. You have to understand, like they understand that their revenue models are changing. Sure. And it's also like important for us to like understand like their needs but obviously that's the thing that concerns me right now the most is how regulation is going to affect the market, and then also making it accessible to other users. So there's some great projects like Web3 which are basically building a decentralized web. And I think making applications that aren't just smart, right, but are also accessible, that have comfortable UIs that regular users can use without having to have like high technical knowledge and experience. So I think that's where I want to see the space go.
Yeah. So coming back to some previous comments I made regarding the long-term value of a company, there is so much unpredictability in this space. There's NFTs, there's this, there's that. Half the people are saying it's a scam.
Tom Brady's invested, so I guess
so he must know what he's doing. But that being said, given this notorious aspect of blockchain, what are some of the core beliefs you and blockchain presence as an organization stick with?
So when it comes to NFTs and some of the other tools that are now available for people, I do still support that, even though it's obviously a very like speculative market, because I think what it does is it still is introducing other users who would not look in the blockchain space at all into that idea of using those products. It makes it more accessible on a retail side as well, so that it's just not a bunch of technology that's unusable to the common person. So I think like from that perspective, I think those things are good. As far as like our long term, sorry, could you say that one more time for me?
So my question was that there's a lot of speculation and there's a lot of new technologies that are coming up today that could be deemed as being, they don't have any basis of value.
Right.
They don't have any pillar to stand by. But my question is that what do you believe in, or what does blockchain presence have as its pillar that it's like, this is what is going to make money, this is what is going to create the value?
Sure. Yeah, well, I think what's important is
and by the way, I don't want to like downplay NFTs. I don't understand NFTs myself. It could be the next big thing. But
NFTs and even something like Bitcoin, right? You have to almost think of them as a commodity. Like it is like gold. It has its value is in the eye of the beholder, right? In a way, and its supply. Whereas I think for us, and something that I'm glad to be a part of, is the fact that we're building in this decentralized application space, which is what I think brings the long-term value to blockchain. So being a smart contract oracle in the space, I think that for us, like what we see is that we're actually going to be generating value by being this solution in order for data providers and for people who need that data, the creators and developers of smart contracts, to be connected. So I think for us, like that pillar always is going to stand on like how that decentralized application space builds.
Okay. Now this is more of your day-to-day kind of role and your day-to-day activities. Is it difficult to inspire people on the team? Because it's a project that some people probably do not have a lot of understanding in or historical knowledge in. If you take most people, they're like, yeah, we have experience in working at a bank or like an insurance company or something like this. But given this is a new space and you're trying to build out a team from a batch of people that maybe don't understand everything, or maybe don't understand a lot of things.
Sure.
How easy or difficult is it for you to inspire this team?
I think that it's very easy to inspire them. And it's not like the inspiration's coming from me. I think that most of my team is incredibly self-motivated and very collaborative, which is exactly what you need in this space. I think there's a really steep learning curve, even for myself, and I'm continuously picking up new knowledge. And like, I'm definitely not afraid to say, oh my God, I have no idea about this. And,
I think that's the beauty. Sorry to interject.
Oh no,
it's like something that I've realized too. That's the beauty of higher education, where the more you know, the more you understand. You don't know so much. Versus, especially me when I was a teenager, let's say, I thought I knew everything, but I didn't. I'm older now and I have so much more experience, and now I'm understanding there's so much that I don't know. And that might be the case you'll understand too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then like as a team, like admitting that to each other and reaching out for each other's help. I mean, I think like my team inspires me in that way because, I'll be going a certain direction with strategy in our campaigns or how we're trying to do these lead conversions. And, I'll get new information from my team that just is like, oh, wait a minute, I'm thinking about this all wrong. And I think it's like important not to have like an ego and like accept that and just say like, like if we work together, we'll get way more done. Like we'll be able to really, explain what this product is to people in a different way. And I love working with people with completely different, unique perspectives and different paths that they've taken as they've gone through both the workspace and their professional life, and then also through their student life. And I think it just adds like so much value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
That also translates to where you are right now. This company, the spinoff from the university, is based in Zurich, Switzerland. Do you think that a company like this is primed to succeed and grow in this market and in this environment?
Absolutely. I mean, if you wanted to be anywhere in the crypto space, like this is where you want to be. I mean,
What about the US? I mean,
the US is fantastic too, obviously. And there's obviously so much like infrastructure already in place because of, Silicon Valley, and also, places like Austin and stuff where you have these, you have the infrastructure, you already have the tech companies and experienced investors as well, like who know what to look for.
but you still think Zurich is one of the hubs for
Zurich and Zug, obviously. I mean, Zug especially. Right now it hosts an incredible amount of startups, and the Crypto Valley Association and CV Labs and what they're doing. They provide this great network that really connects all the players together, both big and small. Yeah. I mean, there's other participants, right? And they have like strategic relationships in other countries. Actually, I know that there's quite a few in Germany as well that are in that space, and obviously the U.S. And so they really do support each other. They understand that in order to grow, like they need to build up the space together. Right, exactly. And
the idea is blockchain. Come on, like it's all about
when you think about it, right? If you're promoting a decentralized space,
and then you're centralizing all the information, it just kind of goes against the ethos in a way. But
there's such a great amount of sharing. I mean, even the sort of the practice of people sharing their white paper and basically their business plan with the world immediately. I mean, almost every company in the space starts with that type of format. And I think that's such a great way to show that like you're willing to help and like outreach to each other. So Switzerland is definitely one of the best places to be.
Great. So that being said, what are some of the industries that are primed to take on smart contracts? And if it hasn't happened yet, how can you and BCP bridge this gap?
So as far as industries go, I mean, obviously finance and trading, huge sector right now. It's probably the largest growth that we see of any of the markets. But we also are starting to see attempts to bring blockchain into things like insurance and then healthcare. But of course, that's almost a different format because those aren't public space items. They're more best fit right now for their own private networks, especially with insurance right now. They're mostly focused, like companies like B3I are working with a lot of major providers, and they're doing reinsurance solutions right now. But I think eventually they will move into doing a lot of their insurance activities on the retail side as well through the blockchain space. And then also you see, supply chain management, absolute win in that space. Something that I think is coming up that I think is really going to be an important industry here is the Internet of Things and how we start to collaborate that data. And I think the best place for that, and what we're seeing really from an investment side as well, is basically that this space is gonna have, I think, huge growth potential, and it's something that we certainly are keeping our eye on. One of the reasons being that the information itself through Internet of Things is useless if it's centralized, right? What makes it such a powerful tool is being able to take all this data, validate it through something, and the best way to validate that, right, would be to have some sort of a consensus algorithm through blockchain. So I think that space is really going to take off in the next few years. And, that's the hope, is that you have these technologies working together instead of being all separate, right? We want them to kind of fuse and to be part of each other.
Yeah. So this is my last question that I have for you. What are some plans to propagate this message that you talk about of smart contract oracles? Some wild ideas you might have, because it's a marketing team, and you're trying to build out a market for yourself, and it's a new space. You might be trying some new things, but if there are some tried and tested things too, that's okay. But what are your biggest focus points in terms of propagating the message you have?
Right now, we're taking a pretty traditional approach. We're utilizing a lot of digital marketing, which is really kind of one of the only options at this point.
That could be non-traditional.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah, and the ways we're doing it, we really are trying to get our message through as many channels as possible, but also choose the right channels for the potential people we would like to be part of the platform. For us, I think the key is education. And I think what you could say is not traditional marketing is we're not trying to sell the product necessarily. What we're trying to do is explain what we are and the value of it. Yeah. And it's almost a weird situation where it's like you're trying to create the market that you're selling. And I think that most people in that space are really kind of doing the same thing. Yeah. And what is nice now, and I think what's turning heads, is there are a lot of major partnerships going on between Fortune 500 type corporations, major players in the tech space, and also major banks as well around the world that are now seeing the value of it and are starting to partner with a lot of growing firms in blockchain. Yeah. And I think for us it's also the same thing, but we also don't want to just make that understanding just among the biggest players. We want every company to understand that there's value for them too. Sure. It's like it's a way of doing things that is very different than maybe their current model. Yeah. But I think it's going to be a necessity for them to convert eventually, and it's better for them to be on top of that and to understand like what that space is and what we do. And
like you said, education is the key for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So just explaining as much as we can and presenting as many use cases. And it's also important for us to do a lot of research as well, because maybe we don't understand all the ways that we can use smart contract oracles and how we can connect them and to the right people. And so, for us, it's also really important for like educating ourselves as well as others.
Yeah. Okay. No, thanks a lot, Cam. This has been a very educational conversation for myself. And do you have any further comments or anything you wanted to add?
I'm really excited to continue working on this project and learning more and more, and also getting better understanding of what our customers' needs are. From both sides. Sure. And I look forward to the future of blockchain and smart contract oracles.
Seems really bright, and seems there's so much to do, and it's such an exciting path you're going forward. And that's all from my end. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.